All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich Celenza. Thanks for checking out the Rich Celenza Show. I got my co-host, Robert Benenati.
Hello, everyone.
I came up with a title, and then he fixed it. So I'm going to let you say it.
I forgot.
Oh, is your role model, or did your role
model help you or hurt you?
Yeah, or role models, I guess we could say, right?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, my question to you is, who is or was your role model?
I had a bunch. I had too many. Honest to God.
So which one was the one that really caused a dramatic impact?
I think our parents always are going to be the biggest, in my opinion. So I'm going to kind of screen them out because I think, right?
Okay.
I think what happened with me, though, is because my mother got divorced at a young age, and then me kind of bouncing between two different sides of a family. My father's side of the family was pretty upper middle class, some even higher. My mother's side, at that point in time, not now, they're very successful, a lot of my family members, but a lot were just painters, say, for instance, or involved in that industry, I guess you could say. And also a lot did things that could be considered or frowned upon. It could be gambling or other things. I'm not going to start. But what I found very interesting is role models kind of being very similar, just in different environments. So I had one uncle, pretty wealthy, owned a very large factory in Chicago, owned his own horses, had places on South Florida. My aunt and uncle, wonderful, traveled, incredible family that loved gambling. And he would take me to highlight the track at a young age, show me all these different things. It was amazing. Now I'm going to flip it over to my mother's side where I had uncles as well. And we would go as well. Meet at the track, maybe off track. They gambled as well. Weren't as successful at that point in time financially. And you wonder and say, I'm just using this for an example. I don't even know why I went down this road, but both of say those uncles or one of my uncles on one side and say two or three on the other. I love them guys. Old school Italian. Both of them were Italian. Mm-hmm. Both of them just lived entirely different lives as far as upper middle class and kind of lower. But they were my role models. But if you look at something and take a step back, was my uncle taking me, the wealthier one who had horses and all that, him taking me to the track, and when we were in Miami, or I'd go to Miami with them, going to Highlight, or me now with my other uncles kind of going to the track, because a lot of people, I think, we put a stigma on certain people because, say, one's more upper middle class or wealthier, that what they do can kind of get a pass, right? And then maybe I'm in an environment where I'm on the streets with my other uncles and they're doing it, and say they're not as wealthy or successful financially, that it would be frowned upon. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
I was able to kind of blend my entire life and have role models that were kind of very similar, but on opposite ends of the...
But which one created a bigger impact?
My God. I can't pick. I swear to God, I have... Wow.
All right.
I'm confused.
Do you have a celebrity that was a role model?
No, not really. I love making films, so I would say love, certain filmmakers. But it wasn't, I needed a personal touch. And I would say overall it would be my uncles, but I would bounce between my older uncles.
So a combination of uncles.
It was, and I guess if I really summed it up, when I went to Italy, I wanted two uncles to go with me, or I wanted to go with two people, and it was my older uncles from my mother's side. So I guess maybe as far as an impact goes, maybe now that I'm older, I look back and say those two uncles probably had the biggest impact on me. How about you? I got lost there. Go.
Me, it was Donald Trump.
What? Mine was Clinton. No.
Again, like you said,
Oh my God.
It's usually, you said it's usually our parents. For me, it was my parent. It was my,
of course,
my dad.
Yeah.
But I could see a lot of people not have a role model parent.
Mm-hmm.
That they'll probably do better without those parents in their lives. So,
right.
Because it's just not healthy.
Yes.
In my case, it was healthy, and he was my role model. I never did well with having celebrities as role model. I'm not a fanatic in the sense of, for me, I see them, they're human, a normal person with a job, and they're good at it. You know,
When you say celebrity, are you talking actor or are you
actor,
talking musician?
Yeah, anyone.
So you're saying somebody basically famous within the entertainment industry?
Yeah, a musician. He's
Okay.
good at the guitar, at singing, but
Yeah.
he's a maybe a drug addict, alcoholic, or,
I grew up around those
or
people.
just miserable, or
Mm-hmm.
just an a-hole, right? Whatever, right? A celebrity, an actor, they have their own issues.
Yeah, well,
So
actors for the most part are speaking other people's words and they're behaving.
They're acting someone else.
Or there's somebody else. So that makes. I think when we're younger, it was kind of glamorized a lot more. Now they got exposed.
For me, I never saw it. I was never a fanatic, and never took on like a role model. Now there's people that I take. You kind of sort out the good and the bad, what works for you, what you have a little more in sync with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You could talk about, I don't know, let's just say The Rock, right?
Okay.
He's got a big following,
Yeah.
right? And people can imagine whatever they want that he is, right?
Right.
And you never know the truth. You don't live with the guy. You don't know how,
not.
what he is. But his ethics, his work ethics, his workouts,
Mm-hmm.
like he's there every morning working out. He was broke and made it, and look how far he got. That I respect and admire. And I'm saying, you know what? Those are attributes that he has that I would like. So to a certain point, is it a role model? I don't know, if that qualifies as a role model. But like him, there's a lot of other people. So I think for me, role modeling comes from books.
Interesting.
I think that's where it would come from. So the type of books I read, self-help, or people that have been successful, that have had their failures in life and overcame them, got back up, and got shit done. I think those are my role models. So probably books.
Interesting. I grew up in the nightclub industry, so I saw musicians, I saw comedians, and even my family was also involved with the television and film industry. But I was just thinking about when you were saying that. I think for me, and I kind of think I followed in that footsteps, good or bad. I think my role models, my two uncles, I knew were protectors. So when it came down to anything, I knew they were there to protect me, or they always had my best interest.
Right.
Even if I got in beefs with them. Believe me, it's not always been smooth
But
sailing.
at the end of the day, they had your back.
Yeah, and I think even if you go back to me when I kind of moved to Florida with a lot of my buddies that were younger than me, or all different ages, I'm not saying I was their role model. And I talk about like maybe not always, maybe living a lifestyle that they kind of gravitated towards and started to live, and it kind of went sideways on a lot of them. But I was able to handle it maybe because of the environment I was in. And I was just having a conversation with my cousin regarding this, how maybe a lot of people may have looked up to me to a certain degree when I was younger because of just my lifestyle, even financially, and things I was able to do and get away with.
Mm-hmm.
Just it worked for me. I don't know how to explain it. But I wasn't always the best influence a lot of times. But I think if you ask anyone, I always was there to protect them. Like I had their back even if things went wrong. Even if I had a fallout with a friend or with someone I know, or I got in a jam. I think the one thing that I look at during this discussion is being a protector. I don't know why. That just kind of came to my head. And I think that would be the role model that I always wanted to kind of be, is somebody you knew that was always there, even if you don't see me. If you don't even see me for 6 months or a year or 20 years. Because I think I lived a lifestyle even in many different industries where I came and went, right? A lot of times I'd come and go. I don't care if I was making a film or I worked for a certain company. I come and go. But I'm always kind of there. And if you lost your relationship with me, the closeness, that didn't mean I was mad at you or you were mad at me. It just kind of like,
it was a moment, yeah.
It was the moment. We went our separate ways, but I always want, if you listen to this,
I'm a phone call away. Right?
Yeah, I'm always there. Like I have people reach even from grade school, high school, middle school, and me living in Chicago and Florida, you maybe went through this because you were living in a different country, where I'm always there. Like that's kind of a role model to a certain degree that I wanted to be, as somebody who, and that goes for my kids, my girlfriend, my mother, anybody. When I went to Italy with my uncles, I wanted to make sure I protected them, and one was sick.
So that's the way that you interpreted that, what they influenced you in was being a protector. That's what you got from them.
Yes, I
Right.
respect that more than anything else. I don't care about money. I don't care about necessarily where you take me, how many restaurants we've been together, what we've done, gambling, good or bad.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, it's who you are and what it made you. And it's
Yeah.
this person that you could count on, that you know that has your back. And that's really what you got out of. And that's what makes you. That's what a role model does. You know, you role model after someone else. Like for my dad, it was, in my example, was the fact that he was same thing, a protector and a provider.
Mm-hmm.
And that's who I am at heart with my family.
Yeah.
And they tell me all the time, no
Yeah.
matter what, you're always going to provide. No matter what, you're always going to be there.
Yes.
Without me knowing, right? And
You just do it.
I just do it
You're
because that
programmed.
was my role.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's
right?
programming.
So now going back to the topic of the episode, did your role model help you or hurt you? I guess it just depends on the role model and what you got out of that role model, because that person is a normal human being
Yeah.
that has good and bad. It's what you get out of it, right?
Yeah.
So in that case with your uncles, right?
Right.
You got that part of it out of them. You know, you got the part where you're the protector. You're the guy you could count me, right? Count on me. I'm sure they had other things that were negative that you probably just disregarding. Like, you know what?
Yeah.
You're my uncle.
We
I
all
love
do.
you, but I
Yeah.
don't want to go down that route, right? So you kind of separated that and took what worked for you. And I said it at the beginning. You know, so a role model, you take what works.
Yeah, and sometimes, like, back to my uncles again, like, because I started to gamble at a young age, say in high school, and then you go on to, we were doing, we did a lot of vending business, and we were taking bets, and then now I'm gambling all over the country. I even did my honeymoon in Vegas, we're in Bahamas, everywhere, right? So did they teach me to gamble? I would just go with them. It was, I don't know if they're programming me to or not. I don't think they meant any harm. Did they want me to have to end up at Gamblers Anonymous or something? I don't think so. But
that's who they were, and you were just there, and you're just a collateral to their behavior.
Right. And I enjoyed that. And then I even made a film about the underground world of gambling in Chicago, and I had one of those uncles even in the film with me because he played like me and him. I knew we had a good chemistry. But I will say one thing. I remember my uncle, he said to me, again, one of them that gambles, and said, Rich, you know what? In Chicago, like, even after I made my first film, and his wife actually works in the industry. She's one of the top hairstylists, has been for many, many years in Chicago, in the studio. And her brother actually even owned the studio. So my uncle said, Rich, you're always around hundreds of different guys, always hanging out. You're always all over the place, doing all these cool things. You want to be in the film industry, but you're never around anybody in the film industry. Like, you really don't know the film industry. And it seems almost like you want to almost create it on your own, right? Or it was just like an eye-opener to say, hey, if you want to make films, start learning from people who make successful films. Right. I was kind of thinking I didn't need that, when in reality I did. But him telling me that was like a big eye-opener. Who would expect that from, you know what I mean? Even though his wife's in the industry. But again, back to being a mentor, my uncle was a mentor and he didn't even realize he was mentoring me. Because it's not like he's an actor. It's not like he's a director or a producer.
He was just helping out. No?
He was just always helping out. So anyways, I'll blame you for this one. What else? You got anything else?
That's it.
All right. Oh, my mother's texting me. Unbelievable. Who knows what that is? She's hilarious. She listens to our podcast all the time. Robert sounds so good. You need a bigger vocabulary, Rich. He's calm. You're crazy. I don't even know what you're talking about. That's what you'll say sometimes. I understand him. I don't get you. Who knows? I'm throwing my mother under the bus. All right. That's all I got for you today. Take care, everyone.